working on a journal, and that journal was about a farm that we were living on, and we were renovating an old plantation house. So during the renovation of that plantation house, we found an old map. And on that old map, there was a notation that said Negro Hill. And for some reason, that just wouldn't leave me. I just was so taken with that notation. I began to ask people locally if they knew the story. No one knew the story. I spoke with a couple of local historians. There was not a collective story. But what they all did say was that it very likely represented a tragedy. So I let that go, and it still would come back all of the time when I'd take a walk and I'd be looking out. And one particular morning, I sat down to do my journaling. And before I started to journal, in my mind's eye, I started to see a movie. It was like as though I saw a movie. And in that movie, well, this is what I wrote. I just picked up my pencil and started to transcribe. And this is what I wrote. It is actually now it's the prologue. I guess that sounds cool. I think of libraries where you're not supposed to drop a book. So this is the prologue. Prologue. 1810, Lavinia. There was a strong smell of smoke, and new fear fueled me. Now, on the familiar path, I raced ahead, unmindful of my daughter behind me, trying to keep up. My legs were numb, unused to this speed, and my lungs felt as though they were scorched. I forbade myself to think I was too late and focused all my strength on moving toward home. Foolishly, I misjudged, and meaning to take a shortcut to the stream, I swerved from the path to dash through the trees. To my horror, I found myself trapped. I pulled to free my long blue skirts from the blackberry brambles that ensnared me. As I ripped my way out, Ellie caught up to me. She attached herself to my arm, sobbing and trying to hold me back. Though a 7-year-old is no match for a grown woman, she fought fiercely, with strength fostered by her own terror. In my frenzy, I pushed her to the ground. She stared at me with disbelieving eyes. "Stay here," I begged, and raced back down the path until I reached the stream. I meant to cross over by stepping on the rocks in the shallow water, but I didn't remove my shoes, which was a mistake. Halfway over, I slipped on the river stones, and with a splash, I fell. The cold water shocked me, and for a moment I sat stunned, water bubbling by, until I looked up and recognized our smokehouse on the other side of the stream. The gray building reminded me that I was close to home. I rose, my skirts soaked and heavy, and scrambled my way across the water by clinging to the jutting rocks. At the base of the hill, I leaned forward to breathe, gasping for air. Somehow, Ellie had reached my side again, and this time she clung like a kitten to my wet skirts. I was terrified of what she might see, but it was too late now, so I grasped her hand, and together we crested the bluff. There, I froze. Ellie saw it too and whimpered. Her hand slipped from mine as she sat on the ground. I moved forward slowly, as though in a dream. Our massive oak tree stood at the top of the hill, its lush green leaves shading the thick branch that bore the weight of the hanging body. I refused to look up again after I caught sight of the green headscarf and the handmade shoes that pointed down. So that is what I wrote. And I was horrified. I didn't know where it came from. So I put it in my desk drawer and hoped it would go away.